to Bournemouth 2, and we managed to salvage a point from a 2-0 down yesterday. You know, I was there at the game. Atmosphere was just so flat. It really was for the majority of it. Even when we got back into it, there was not really many songs or many chants apart from a half-hearted "Oh, when the Spurs go marching in" with about just after Son had his penalty, and then like a chance came from. A chance was like kind of interrupted the chant, and then it just never got going again. So I mean, the atmosphere was absolutely dead yesterday at the stadium. I think it was pretty much probably similar when you were talking about the Man City game. Do you remember you came back from that being like the atmosphere is just so flat? Even when the Spurs with the trumpet at the beginning can't really get going, it was pretty much the same.
And that's something Ange spoke about in his post-match press conference. I guess we'll get into those quotes in a bit, but at the moment, with the season, 10 games to go until the end of the league season, we're so far adrift from anything that we're hoping to achieve. These games, ultimately, it's all about building some sort of good feeling and just about trying to get some sort of performance, because there's nothing really to fight for in the league. So I can understand that the fans, let's be honest, we've been beaten a lot of the season, beaten up by this club, and
just this season.
Yeah, well, especially this season. I think it's especially at home as well. So I can understand the fans, not being up for these kind of games and not really believing in this team right now. And until the team shows something else, it's not going to change.
With where we're at right now, do you think, like, because you're seeing obviously poor application on the pitch for the most part, do you feel that's down to right now? I'll see, because we have got players back, and we all thought, when the players come back, you'd see a lot better performance level, which hasn't really materialised just yet. Maybe it will still come.
I think it's been better than what it was before.
Yeah, but it's still not probably anywhere near to what you were hoping it was going to be.
I didn't expect it to click like straight away.
Like, we're not seeing any of those real attacking patterns of play. We're not seeing anything close to what we've seen at the best of Ange Ball kind of thing.
Not the best, but I think we're seeing a lot more than we were, I think. Yesterday was, look, we're going to the review. So, like, yesterday, a lot of it was self-inflicted. A lot of the problems we were causing ourselves was completely self-inflicted. Bad mistakes, sloppy passing when we're trying to play out the back. We're trying to play through Bournemouth. We're trying to get the ball at the pitch. Romero looks very, very rusty. Like a lot of that. I was watching the highlights before, and I think apart from the goal they scored, I think all of them came from like a really sloppy piece of play, like in a dangerous area, which put us under pressure. And obviously, they also scored from a moment where we were on the attack as well, that first goal. So I think it's a difficult one, because obviously all these players are coming back, but it's also good. It's not going to just click immediately, because a lot of the whole squad has basically been used to playing without them. So now all these players are coming back into the team, and a lot of them are trying to build their fitness. A lot of them they're playing with new players, haven't played too much. For example, when Romero and some of these other players were not in the team, were in the team before, people like Spence, people like Danso, people like Bergval, they weren't in the team. They weren't even players. So there's you got to build these relationships. That also takes time. It's not going to click straight away. It needs time. That needs time to build as well. And unfortunately, we don't have that time, because the games are running out, the season's running out, and we've got big games coming up. So they've got to get up to speed very, very quickly. But especially with Romero, out for 4 months, I didn't expect him to be as sharp as, obviously, don't expect him to be giving the ball away outside of his own box like he was. And that's not just due to rustiness, it's also due to bad decision making, but I'm sure that can change. But I also think in terms of how coordinated the team looked in these different things, that I do think, given time, that can improve. But I'm not sure if we will get the time. That's the thing at the moment.
No, and I don't think he probably deserves the time, to be honest, with what's happened. But you're looking at the starting lineup. Let's start with the starting lineup just before we move on, because I felt it was all wrong from the off. I know he's got one eye on Thursday, which is fair enough, but to go into a game with no creativity at all from midfield as well, I thought it was a weird one with the fullbacks going into the game, because in my opinion, I think the fullbacks that we chose yesterday are the fullbacks that should be starting on Thursday, Spence and Porro. So what do you think he's going to do with the fullbacks on Thursday? In my opinion, I think the fullbacks yesterday should have been a Doggy on the left and Archie Gray on the right.
I think he's going to go maybe what he did in the first leg, maybe Spence and the Doggy. Maybe that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, which I'm not too disappointed at that, but I think we missed Porro's creativity a lot in that first leg out and out. Come on, I think we're going to need it, especially when we're the ones going to be in the ascendancy again.
Yeah, I agree, but Doggy's also a good player. Like, maybe he doesn't want to leave him out as well. I don't know. I think it's a good problem to have that we have three very good fullbacks. In my opinion, I think we've got three good fullbacks who all have a case to make to play on Thursday. But I thought Porro was going to play the first leg, and then he played Spence and the Doggy yesterday, because I think yesterday was more of a game for Spence and the Doggy because of the way Bournemouth played, the transitional nature of their game, the fact that it turned into a bit of a basketball game. I think we could have done with real pace and athleticism on the wings, on the wide areas. So that's why I would have preferred Spence and the Doggy yesterday and Porro on Thursday. Didn't do that. He played Spence and the Doggy on Thursday, Porro yesterday, and I don't know if we got punished for that specific decision, but obviously the first goal, Porro gets caught out of position. I think it's more to do with him personally than the tactics on that one, but I think Porro gets caught out, and maybe if Spence was there, could he have caught up with Kirkes? Maybe, but maybe not as well. Spence obviously got caught out for his goal as well in the same thing. So I don't know. I'm not saying that was a big mistake, but I think the biggest one was the midfield.
Yeah,
I
don't understand how you can start a game in the Premier League with those three in midfield.
It was the same midfield that started at Anfield, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not a midfield that we should be picking if we've got any ambitions to create and to break them down. And in that first half, literally, we could not break them down for love nor money. It looked like we could have been there for 10 years with that midfield in the first half and not break them down. It really was shambolic. You had Bissouma in the middle making mistake after mistake. You had Bentancur, who put in one of his absolutely horrible performances. You get these with Bentancur, don't you? Like, one week he'll perform really well and you're thinking, look, Bentancur's getting back to his best, and then the week after he'll put in a stinker like he did yesterday, which was awful. I thought Sarr actually was probably the best of the three in the first half. I thought he actually kept up some sort of levels, but it was just a mistake-riddled first half, and we could have been 3-0 down within the first 15 minutes. And this is carrying on a theme, because that happened at Ipswich. That could have happened at Ipswich. Could have been 3-0 down in the first 5-10 minutes. We conceded 3 or 4 big chances in the first half against Ipswich. We conceded 4 big chances yesterday in the first half. And against Manchester City last week, we conceded 4 big chances in the first half as well. I mean, what is it with these first half displays? Why can't we get going?
I think they're all different issues. I think against Ipswich, it was a case of I think it was the midfielder breaking through our press, then playing Liam Delap into good areas where he had some efforts on goal. I don't think it was as good chances they had as it was for Bournemouth yesterday. For Man City, it was a case of Doku completely running riot on that left-hand side. And yesterday was a case of Bournemouth pressing us into oblivion and our passing out the back being very, very sloppy and gifting Bournemouth very, very easy chances. And I think obviously it all comes down to how the team coach and the manager and all these different things. I think we're still juggling quite a few things. We're juggling getting players back to fitness. We're juggling kind of rotating for Thursday night. And as well, we're still developing a lot of relationships on the pitch. But at the moment, we've also got to get results, and we've also got to get this team playing on the pitch. And it just seems as though teams are finding different ways to hurt us, and we're not seemingly able to cope with whatever kind of way a team chooses to attack us at the moment. Whether it's playing through our press, whether it's pressing us and forcing us into mistakes, whether it's getting the wingers out wide directly very quickly and taking on our fullbacks. At the moment, we're struggling to, especially earlier in games, it does seem we adapt a bit during games, and we seem to kind of not get by, but we seem to adapt and improve during games. That has happened in all the games we've talked about, but definitely from the off, we seem to have massive struggles. kind of keep teams catching us off guard and teams coming up with plans to really create big chances, and we're struggling to cope with it. And yesterday, Romero was guilty a few times of giving the ball away. I think Maddison, when Cliver hit the post, he was caught in the middle of the park as well. Struggling, but Mo, to be fair, it was just a 10-minute period, and then it seemed to improve. But
Yeah.
I think that 10-minute period was very hard to watch, and the mistakes were just shambolic,
The
absolutely
thing is,
shambolic.
right, it was only like a 5-10 minute period at Ipswich as well. But in those 5-10 minutes, the game can get away from you if we carry on in this kind of ilk and carry on conceding these kind of chances. I mean, that Romero pass, whoever it was supposed to be to in the first minute, was absolutely shambolic. Bissouma a minute later or something.
I think a lot of it as well, Romero just putting him in trouble unnecessarily as well.
Yeah, that could be the case. But I mean, I thought Bissouma throughout the game was just making sloppy pass after sloppy pass in really bad areas of the pitch where, he's supposed to be one of the experienced heads in the squad. He needs to be knowing better than that. And, he's one of the most rested players in the team as well. Like, Bissouma's got to be... And he's going to have to play on Thursday now with Bentancur suspended, maybe even injured, I don't know. But...
Well, I don't know. He might not. Maybe Bergvall on the 6th.
But so you're saying Bergvall, Maddison and...
Sarr.
I would do that. Me personally, I would do that. And I think Bergvall, with the performance that he showed coming off the pitch, he looked like the most mature player on the pitch at that moment in time. He's the only one that was moving the ball about, looking and asking for the ball consistently, trying to take men on, trying to show a bit of forward thinking. I mean, he is the only one that had the balls in the middle of the park to actually take the initiative and take a bit of leadership role and say, look, this is how we're going to play football here. Everyone else was hiding in the midfield.
He was phenomenal, and he's been phenomenal for a few months, I would say now. But yeah, in that first half, it was a weird one. So you're right, it could have been 2-3-0. Well, to be fair, they only had those two chances, didn't they? There was the one where Evan Nilsson had the chance and it was saved by Vicario, and the one where Cliver went through, and then following up from that chance, there was a header, I think, from Evan Nilsson, which was easily saved by Vicario, and then so it could have been 2-0, I guess. And then it was kind of for the next half an hour, we didn't do much, but at least we kind of got a foothold in the game. Like, we were just stemming the tide. Bournemouth weren't kind of creating any sort of chances really in that period as well. I don't remember too much they did during that period for the next 20 minutes, half an hour. And actually, we were starting to get some good kind of openings without really doing anything. Like, Bentancur had some really good opportunities in space, and then his passing was sloppy and he was letting it go astray. I think, what's it called? I thought Bissouma, as much as you're saying he was sloppy, and I agree with you, he was poor, he was actually finding some really good passes into the centre of the pitch, which was opening up the game. I thought Oderbell was looking a bit threatening down that side. He was getting in behind a couple of times, but his final ball was off. Sure, but he was getting into some good positions. I thought Johnson was obviously anonymous as well, but I thought we were starting to get a foothold in the game, and then we had a really promising attack when, again, Bissouma does really well to find Porro in the middle of the park. He's striding forward. Looks like we're going to create an opportunity. Porro tries to find Brennan on the right, underhits the pass, and all of a sudden, because that pass gets underhit, it takes out two players in Johnson and Porro, and it just means Kirkes has all that space to run into. And Kirkes is fast. He's got unbelievable stamina. You could see that the way he runs. He's so relentless down that left-hand side. But what he had, obviously, in that moment was an unbelievable cross. What a ball. One of the crosses of the season, I would say.
It was incredible. It took our whole defence out. It was pinpoint onto the head of Tavernier. Straight to Tavernier, there was no chance that any Spurs defender was going to get to that unbelievable cross. And I felt like for a lot of the time he did have a bit of freedom down that left-hand side.
I would say Spence didn't cover himself much glory. It was a great cross, but I think Spence does kind of switch off.
No, I agree with
allows Tavernier to get the back post. I would also say it's a good finish, but Vicario, would he be slightly disappointed it just lets it go under him? He kind of dives over it, which would be a bit disappointed if he just kind of stood his ground. Could he have used his feet to kick that away potentially? But not taking anything away from Bournemouth, I think it was a brilliant cross, good kind of volley from Tavernier. And it's hard to, you couldn't really argue that we didn't deserve to be 1-0 down with the chances we gave up in the first 10 minutes. But again, this has happened so many times, and it happened in the second half as well a few times. It's like, from one of our better moments, we concede a goal. And it's happened a lot of times throughout the season where we're looking like we're getting into the game finally, and it's just at those moments we concede. And it happened again, I felt.
Yeah, the reality is, though, you get what you deserve. And I think we did deserve it. We deserved to be more than one goal down. And even though we were fighting our way back into the game and kind of stemming the tide, and we probably conceded in our best moment in the game, it was against the run of play at that moment in time. But we got what we deserved. We deserved to be losing at that moment in time, and that's what we had.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying it has happened so often that we concede in a moment where we're just starting to get a foothold, and it's very frustrating how that keeps happening.
It's individual errors every time. Every time. Like Pedro Porro pass to let Kirkes go down that left-hand side was just shambolic, and it's just like these passes were hurting us all day long.
Yeah, for sure. Bentancur was being extremely sloppy. So was Romero. So was Basuma. They were the main culprits. Porro as well made some really blind passes into the centre of the pitch, and also that pass as well. But like a lot of people blame that goal. Look at that goal and blame like the Ange's tactics. But like Porro wouldn't have been in that position in the centre in space if it wasn't for Ange asking him to be there, and that was actually a really good thing because it made him completely free in that moment to attack Bournemouth and actually put Bournemouth under pressure. It's not Ange's fault. Porro plays a horrible pass, and then all of a sudden we're facing our own goal.
Yeah, but you've got to look at it the other way as well. That potentially if Porro wasn't there, in another set of circumstances and another tactical idea, someone else would be there, and Porro would be there at right back covering for any mistakes if they do happen.
Yes, but you've got to see where the midfielders are. The reason why Porro is free is because the midfielder's already marked. You know what I mean? So that is the idea is you get these kind of players free in these positions so they can hurt the opposition. And I think the position Porro took up was actually a very clever position. And if he would have done more with it, I think I think that's kind of the idea of how he wants to play. And I think it could have worked, but a really sloppy pass from Porro all of a sudden undoes that good work, in my opinion. And I think, yes, it's fair comment. It's a risky move because if he gives the ball away like he did, we're under pressure. But a player of his quality should be able to pull off that pass. It shouldn't be a difficult pass to play.
It happens way too often, though. Maybe not Porro making that kind of pass, but it happens way too often where our right side is way too open because of mistakes that we make and players left high up the pitch. It happens time and time again, week after week. Like, at what point are we going to look at it and being like, well, yeah, maybe we're making too many mistakes here and we need to do something else to make sure we're not so open on the right-hand side every single week.
I think it's just the wide areas. That's just how we play. But I think what we got to do. I'm not saying I never said it's not an issue. I think the whole setup is an issue when it's not functioning. My point being is. When it functions, Porro should be picking the ball up in those kind of areas and looking to hurt the opposition. That's what it should be doing, right? And if we would have made something of that, like we should have, really, because I think it was a 4-on-4 at that point, and it was a really dangerous moment. If we would have created a good chance of maybe scored a goal, that's kind of how the system should be functioning. But because he made an error, and all of a sudden he gives the ball away, and then Kirkes makes a world-class cross. People say, "Oh, look, this system's like it's look how open we are. It's a massive flaw." But I'm saying, it shouldn't have been like that. We should have made a chance out of that, and it's more of an individual error in that sense rather than a tactical kind of flaw why that goal went in my opinion.
Yeah, but you also got to look at it like not everything can be perfect all the time, right? Misplaced passes happen all the time in football, right? And it can't be just one misplaced pass and then that's it. They've pretty much got a clean sweep down our right-hand side, down their left-hand side. I mean, Kirkes had the complete freedom of that whole side to time. He had time to pick out the cross. He had everything that he wanted to pick out the best cross. Obviously, it's a cross of the highest degree. And it's
from a deep position.
It is, but he still had the whole freedom of that whole left-hand side. And he had all the time and all the space in the world to think about where he wanted to put it and execute where he wanted to put it. It can't be just one sloppy pass, gets them all that space and time.
Well, when you have a 4-on-4 or the position that we were in, and you do make a sloppy pass, especially when you got players committed forward because it's a good opportunity, then you are going to leave yourself exposed if you give the ball away.
A 4-on-4, you've got 3 players up front. You've got Pedro Porro who's in that situation. Surely, if Pedro Porro is taking up those kind of positions on the pitch, someone's got to be back there covering where Porro was.
Yeah, I have to analyse what the midfielders were doing, but
that's never the case. No midfielder like a Bissouma or whoever our 6 is, Bentancur or Sarr, no one ever goes and covers that area of the pitch. That's why we're so open there every single week.
I don't think that's true. I think it's when we give the ball away sloppily and then with a quick turnover. That's the point of a quick turnover. You catch the opposition out, and we're being caught out. But I don't think it's about never covering. It's about we're making really stupid errors in really bad positions, and it's leading to a very, very quick turnover where they're going very direct to the wing. And it's not about not covering. It's about they're doing it quicker than we can cover, essentially. And that's a big problem that we need to sort out 100%. That's not the only problem, but that's obviously a big issue that we have at the moment is we're turning the ball, we're allowing the team to turn the ball over in too many dangerous positions. And I think a few reasons for that. I think a lot of the players are rushing too much. I think a lot of the players are trying to force things rather than kind of just having a bit of control. I thought near the beginning of the season, we had a bit more control about our play. We weren't rushing things as much as we currently are, for sure. We're definitely always trying to play the ball forward and rushing. We need to calm down. That's something Anne just mentioned, that I don't know why it's still happening. I don't know whether it's an issue because of the kind of form and position we're on the table. There's just kind of a desperation to really turn it around, always go forward. Maybe when we're especially playing at home, the crowd getting on your back always kind of urge you forward. There needs to be kind of definitely need to calm down in certain situations. And as well, we're definitely not winning our individual battles when teams are going man for man, when teams are going man for man marking and pressing us like Bournemouth did yesterday. We're playing the ball into feet. And it's something I remember early in the season, we played Brentford and they did the same thing. And Maddison was just having a field day because we were just playing the ball into him and he was turning and creating all that space. At the moment, especially yesterday when we didn't really have players to get on the ball, we're playing the ball into feet into our midfielders and they're just getting tackled. They're just getting out-muscled, they're getting bullied, and it's leading to turnovers, which is going to lead, when you're playing against a very direct team like Bournemouth, to a lot of your space being exposed because they're very, very direct and very quick. So I think there's a few reasons why that's happening, but it does keep happening, and that's for sure needs to change.
Second half came, and I was calling for multiple changes at half time, and credit to Angie did. He brought on Sonny, brought on Bergvall, and Bissouma and Johnson go off, who I thought both of them had stinkers in that first half. And I did think it changed. I think Bergvall and Sonny made a massive impact in that second half. Sonny was obviously causing them problems straight away. He come on, he cuts inside and has that shot that just goes just wide of the post. Bergvall, like we mentioned before, he was really taking the game to them. He showed Bissouma how to play the midfield role in probably about the first 10 minutes of that second half, and he was showed like he was playing with authority. Bergvall, he was playing like he's been in this team for the last 4 or 5 years. It was an unbelievable performance from Bergvall. Proper playing with real authority on that pitch, getting the ball, turning, driving us forward. He commanded the ball and he was commanding respect on that pitch. And right now, he is our best midfielder at this football club on current form by far.
That's what Ange said as well.
Did he
pretty
say
much?
That?
He said he's become a really important part of the team and actually a player we kind of rely on at the moment. And it's because he's just so unbelievable good at so many different facets. He's one of the best players on the ball for us technically. He's a workhorse as well, never stops running and never stops trying to kind of make challenges and make tackles, and he kind of always has so much aggression about him, and he's got unbelievable quality. That shot from 30 yards that nearly went in, you can see the technique on that. Unbelievable technique from Lucas Bergvall, and it really did change the game in our favour with his ability to get on the ball, look forward, keep the ball as well. And also it had a bit of calmness to the team, whereas I feel like Bentancur, Bissouma were trying to play things very quickly with very little quality. And I think Bergvall definitely changed that a lot. And I think really asked Bournemouth midfield a lot of different questions. And I thought we came out in the second half, I'm not saying amazingly, but obviously we came out with a bit of intent to try and get back in the game. We had a couple of moments. And again, same thing happens. We have a chance down the right-hand side. Odegaard plays the ball across the face of goal, plays it into Son. Son then is in the box. He actually has Sarr to his right, could lay it off for him. He doesn't do it. He decides to cut inside and try and shot himself. His shot's then blocked. And again, we have players in the Bournemouth penalty area to try and get the equaliser. The ball, that chance goes astray. The ball then falls to Tavernier. He then bursts past Bergvall. He bursts past Porro, and it creates this unbelievable passing move, which luckily Semenyo was offside for. There was actually, I think, a pretty good line from Danton Romero staying on the halfway line. But it was a great move from Bournemouth. But again, it comes from Tottenham being on top, Tottenham being in the Bournemouth penalty box, and quickly they take the ball and a few passes, bam, 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 and they're in behind. But again, from that position, Bergvall's got to be taking, or Porro, either of them have got to be stopping that ball or taking out Tavernier. They can't allow that move to prosper, and they just allow it to go forward and allow the move to progress. And it nearly cost us. Luckily for us, Semenyo strayed offside. But I don't think there was a lot of luck in there, because Romero and Danso were very much on the halfway line. So I think they knew what they were doing. But still, if Semenyo was a bit smarter, if he drops back a bit quicker, we could have been caught out. So
yeah, probably lucky in that sense that Semenyo, I mean, he was miles offside, Semenyo.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a bit silly of him to be offside in that situation.
Yeah. But he's offside because Romero and Danso are keeping their line, and they're doing their job.
But I mean, he's that far offside. I mean, you've got to be a bit smarter than that.
Yeah, but he's that far offside because they're that high.
Yeah, but I mean, he should have dropped back and stayed with the line. But look, it's a good line from Spurs. I'm not going to deny it. Of course it is. But after that, Maddison, Van der Ven come on, and you're thinking, all right, Spurs can get back, can go and take the lead here. I felt like the momentum was with Spurs at that point.
Yeah, because Son hit the post.
Yeah.
And then also Sarr has that chance, which was brilliant. I think it was a beautiful move from Tottenham.
The Sarr chance came after that, didn't it? Because didn't it come from Maddison?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so after Maddison came on, yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying Maddison Son plays through to Maddison, who lays it into Sarr. It's actually a really good move from Tottenham, and Sarr shanks it. And yet again, from that move, we then go and concede.
Yeah, with the Evan Nilsson, lovely dink over the keeper from Evan Nilsson, and I felt like both their goals were sucker punches, and both their goals came against the run of play. And once in the second half, I always felt like Spurs were going to get back into it. Even when we went 2-1 down, I just had this feeling about me that Spurs were going to get back into the game. I felt like we kind of, in a weird way, as much as like Bournemouth did have like chances in the second half and probably created even the better chance in the well, maybe not, but they did create chances in the second half. I always felt like Spurs had enough momentum to go and get back in that game.
Yeah, second half was a bit more, definitely a bit more even. I would say, obviously, in terms of the second goal for Bournemouth, by the way, I think Dan's so guilty of going walking a bit. I think if you watch the goal,
yeah, absolutely,
ball gets
100%.
played into Cliver, and he steps in, and Cliver just kind of does a little dummy and lets the ball run across him, and all of a sudden the space opens up.
He got sold down the river, Danso, for that.
And Van der Ven was then caught in two minds. Does he go to Cliver? Does he stop the shot, or does he kind of go to Evan Nilsson? In fact, he ends up doing neither, because he's kind of caught in no man's land. Cos Danso is maybe guilty of being a bit too aggressive, and bam, it's 2-0. Great finish by Evan Nilsson. But yeah, that was again. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I thought it was a bit of a sucker punch again, because it's not the first time even this season it keeps happening. But it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know how we can stop that. Is it a case of us being profligate in front of goal costing us, or is it just a case of whenever we have a chance we commit so many players forward that inevitably if that chance doesn't go in, we're going to get caught? But it keeps happening that we have a chance, and then if it doesn't go in, bam, we're getting caught on the counter. Brilliant. It was a brilliant goal by Bournemouth, but we did get back in the game straight away. A bit of luck. Or actually,
just a bit.
Well, actually, I think Bergvall hits the post just after the goal.
Yeah, I mean, they scored on 65. Our goal came in 67, and we even had like a chance before that. But these chances that we're talking about, with the Son chance and the Sarr chance, I mean, and the Bergvall chance, I mean, they're shots from far out the box. I mean, they're not like clear-cut chances. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the Sonny one, for Sonny, that's a good chance, obviously, because of his quality. I think the Bergvall,
it's still an unbelievable goal if he gets that in from there. You know what I mean?
It was in the box, wasn't it? It was not in the box.
It was just outside, I think.
That's the Sonny zone.
maybe
isn't
yeah,
it?
but just outside or just inside. It's still a big chance.
Then Sarr obviously had a very good chance.
Yeah, SARS is the only one where you can think that's probably a clear-cut chance.
Yeah, that was a real good chance. He's got to score that, and then obviously Bergwijn hit the post.
But SAR's cross, like, what? I don't know how the hell the camera panned to him after he scored, and he just didn't even want to celebrate. He was just embarrassed that it went in. But look, it clawed us back into the game, and that's the moment I was saying, like, I thought that Spurs had the momentum, and Spurs could go and grab the equaliser and potentially even grab a winner.
You could even see with Sarr's goal, just before he hits it, he has a look to see where Solanke and Thing is, whoever else in the box, and he just completely kind of shanked it. It was actually such a bad cross by Sarr, but nowhere near anyone, like not even close to anyone, but ends up going in the back of the net. Bit of luck to get us back in the game. Yeah, you felt like at that moment Tottenham could take the game to Bournemouth and maybe go on, and if there was still quite a lot of time left in the game, 25 minutes, so you felt like if you can get a quick goal, maybe it can really turn around. But I felt like Bournemouth at that point actually made changes themselves. They brought on Utara. What minute was that?
They brought on Utara, Scott, and Brooks came on 10 minutes to go. Utara and Scott came on with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think when those subs came on,
it kind of like
the momentum switched again, and all of a sudden I think they were starting to tire it before that, and we were starting to play through them a bit. And then all of a sudden, those three come on, and then their energy levels go up again.
It kind of felt like every goal in this game came against the run of play.
Yeah.
How weird is that? Because when Sarr scored, it was just as they were having that little momentum of pressure when they scored and blah, blah, blah. And when we scored our penalty, again, it was like when the momentum just switched into Bournemouth's favour. And then we spoke about the two Bournemouth goals came at like Spurs' good moments. It was a weird game.
Yeah. And then they started to obviously create some opportunities. They had Clive obviously hit the post with a really good chance. I mean, it would have been a good finish to score from there, but it came from, again, Maddison kind of dawdling on the ball in the middle of the park. Utara, I think it was, tackles him, plays it through to Tavernier, plays it through to Cliver, and he hits the post. Got away with that one. And Bournemouth they were looking quite dangerous at that point. If it looks like Venom was going to get a third, to be fair, it was going to be the next goal was going to be Bournemouth at that point. But credit to the team in terms of the way. We'll talk about the penalty. The way the build-up for that penalty was actually really impressive. Good ball to Son, who flicks it to Spence. He then finds Maddison. Son continuing his run down that left-hand side.
Great ball from Maddison, yeah.
Brilliant ball from Maddison. And, I mean, it's a terrible decision from Kepa. I don't know what he's doing because Son's going away from goal. So no need to dive in there. But he did, and Son took full advantage. It was a definite penalty.
You can take the man out of Chelsea, but you can't take the Chelsea out the man. Chelsea and their goalkeepers these days. But I think, it was awful from Kepa, and Son did well to kind of like just shift away and get that penalty. And everyone around me was like, Solanke's going to take this penalty. Solanke's going to take this penalty. I was saying to everyone, Sonny, there's no way Sonny is not going to be taking this penalty. And then obviously Sonny goes up to Solanke, takes the penalty off him, Panenka's it down the centre of the goal. And it's 2-2. And I thought we were going to go grab a winner after that, but it just never really materialised.
Yeah, I think neither side really could have...
it was like game over from there.
Yeah,
really.
I think obviously we tried, but we never looked like scoring. And as well, Bournemouth I think Bournemouth also tried to score, but they just couldn't get it right on their counters in the end. And I think it ended up being 2-2. And I wouldn't say it was a fair result. I think we probably got away with one in terms of just a bit of luck we had. In terms of the bit of luck we had to get back in the game at the time that we did. But I think there was some good football there. There was a lot of mistakes there, though, and that is the worrying thing. And it wasn't a performance, again, that kind of convinced anyone that we're going to start seeing consistent results yet. I still think, obviously, the positives were Van de Ven and Romero having some game time. Solanke obviously played 90. Not sure how I felt about it, but he did. He played 90 minutes.
Dead at the
he
end,
completely looked
Solanke,
dead. I don't know why he didn't take him off a bit earlier, but
he was running himself into the ground, Solanke, yesterday, and he didn't really have too much of a threat up front. But what he was doing, he showed, like, I loved his little, like, kind of link-up play throughout the game. I mean, that's just what we're missing when he's not on the pitch. You look at Tell, he just can't seem to drop deep and sort of provide any of that link-up play and any of that physicality that Solanke brings. So I don't think Solanke was great by any stretch of the imagination yesterday, but his sheer work rate, his link-up play and his pure physicality just adds another dimension to when any other striker is on the pitch for us.
Yeah, you just see the difference.
Yeah.
You see the difference when he's on the pitch compared to when he's not. And I think yesterday you could see that even though he didn't have too many chances on goal or anything like that, the fact that we could get the ball into feet, he could link up with the likes of Odebear and Son and Maddison, whereas Tell just wasn't able to do that. You just see it. It's night and day. Also, just a quick mention on the penalty. Obviously, we had a lot of struggle during build-up yesterday, it's fair to say. I think we were very much struggling to play out the back. I think Vicario was having a lot of issues. There was even one moment where he dribbled towards his own goal, and that was Nevin Nilsson nearly tackled him into the net. And
you should in that moment of the game, because that was right in front of us, right? In that moment of the game, the guy that's sitting next to me, he literally, I thought he was about to have a heart attack. Literally, I don't know. He must have he grabbed me or something like this, and he was like, "Oh my god!" He held his heart. I was like, "Bloody hell, mate!"
He did nearly dribble into his own net, to be fair, Vicario. So. And then there was obviously ironic cheers, right, when Vicario went long.
Yeah.
So what was that? So being in the stadium, what was it? Just about?
Because we were just kept struggling playing out the back, and everyone around was saying, "Just bloody hit it long, just bloody hit it long. We got Solanke up there, blah blah blah," and then he finally did, and I think it just came all the way back anyway from that moment, but. There was just a massive cheer throughout the stadium, probably the biggest cheer of the day.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting because the goal that we did the penalty that we got comes from one of the few moments we actually were able to get through them, and then we were able to play through them quite nicely, and then we got the penalty from it. Yeah, so that's kind of the benefit of when you get it right. That's how it can look,
which is fair enough. But how many times did we get it wrong yesterday, and how many times did we nearly concede from it?
Yeah, but that's why we need to get it right more often. But I think
easier said than done.
That's the point. But that's why that's why he tries it. The people who constantly complain about him doing that. I mean, that's why we try to do it, because we try to get in situations like that.
Wrong? Is it a personnel issue? Is it the way that we're trying to do it? What is the reason? Why do we keep getting it wrong, and why do we keep conceding so many chances trying to do this?
When you're playing against, I think especially against Bournemouth, I think we got it wrong yesterday more than most other games. But obviously, RZ was definitely a case of us getting it wrong on a number of occasions. Not maybe to the extent that we did yesterday, but yesterday was terrible. Bournemouth are obviously one of the best pressing teams.
Statistically, they might be the best.
Yeah,
in the league.
So I think on that occasion, I think it would have been smarter to have gone long a few more times. But I was looking at the stats as well, and Vicario did go long 9 times, and only one of them was successful. So it's not like when we went long, it kind of helped. It just meant that we were losing the ball in a different place on the pitch, which I guess is better than losing on the edge of your box, which is fair enough. But if we didn't persist with the playing out, would we have found that moment where we got the penalty? Who knows?
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. But again, we could have conceded 2 or 3 goals with our playing out the back. But it's kind of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't at this current moment in time. Because, like you said, you hit it long, it comes back every time. If you play it out the back, I guess if you play it out the back, there's more risk to conceding a higher percentage chance for them to score. So it's a hard one at the moment. I guess the reality is we need to get better at both facets. We need to get better at finding Dom Solanke and him making it stick, and we need to be better at playing out the back and not making these awful errors. Because I mean, you look at some of these errors with the Basuma and Romero, that these kind of passes that they're trying to play out the back, and it's just shocking. Literally, Championship League One level footballers should be doing better than that.
Yeah, the decision making seems very, very bad. I'm looking at who's Romero even trying to pass to? What's the sense in making that pass? He made a very high risk pass for not much gain
in the first minute of the game.
First minute. Spencer's got a man up his backside there. He's pressing him, and he's passing it across the face of goal to a man under pressure who could have lost it, and then he ended up losing it anyway. He's got Basuma playing with his back to goal, trying to find it, play back to Romero, playing a sloppy pass. I don't understand some of these decision making. But also maybe it's a case of having those dynamics on the pitch, which again, with these players along the back line, some of them not just come back from injury, some of them haven't even played together. You've got to remember, Spence hasn't even played with Van de Ven and Romero like before. Like, these dynamics still have to kind of... And Danso, you got Danso, Romero, Van de Ven, like all these different things.
Yeah, but I mean, Romero is a high caliber quality football player. Like, forget relationships on the pitch. Like, the decision making is awful. Like, regardless of relationships, like, he should not be trying to pick up passes like that. I don't think that's got anything to do with relationships.
No, I think it's part of it, because you got to know where everyone's on the pitch, and that kind of how it needs to become second nature. That's kind of how your team gets to a level where it is. But yeah, when you're making those kind of mistakes, I think partly is because of the rustiness. You know, he hasn't played in 4 months, or he's played 15 minutes in 4 months. So I think that obviously comes down to it. But I think the decision making. I think obviously we know he can make better decisions than that. I think that's obviously not. I think Romero's obviously can make mistakes, but I think when it comes to his passing, we've seen better decision making than that. So I think a lot of it's to do with rustiness, a lot of it's to do with relationships on the pitch, and a lot of it's to do with. I think also I have to say a lot of it's to do with kind of lack of options to pick out, and I think a lot of the time. Players are looking up and everyone's marked, and when that happens, it's all about you winning your individual battle, and if you're not doing that, that's your responsibility a lot of the time.
I mean, Romero, as much as I loved seeing him back yesterday, because it was great to have him back, I think, you know, an hour that he got in his legs yesterday is going to do him the world of good, hopefully, to see a much better performance on Thursday. But he did just frustrate the life out of me. And he was back to his kind of old rash self as well. He made some stupid foul in the corner in an attacking phase. He made that stupid foul on the edge of our box as well, where they could have made more of that out of that free kick. I mean, he was really, not only on the ball, but off the ball, it was really rash from him as well.
Positive from him, I thought he was really good in the air, though. I thought he was making a lot of really good headers from crosses, which maybe could have put us under pressure.
What really frustrated me in the game yesterday was at 2-2, you know, we're the ones in the ascendancy. We're the ones that has got the momentum with us. And we had the ball and we were still like kind of managing the possession at that point in the game. And, you know, the fans were willing on the team to go and score. And there was just no movement at all. And you're thinking you're getting the ball. And I'm seeing some players just like, come on, move. Why is no one moving? I just don't understand it. Like, this has been something that I've been moaning about, like, when I'm at the game for the last, like, 3-4 weeks. I just don't understand what this lack of movement's all about. Like, try and drag some Bournemouth players out of position. Try and create some space for yourself. Otherwise, you're never going to score.
Yeah, it's hard to... I mean, when you're watching on TV, obviously you don't get the full picture of the whole game. Well, maybe when you're there, so I don't know fully. I mean, I didn't see specifically a lack of movement during the game, but maybe in the last few minutes, I don't know, maybe that was... I don't know, I didn't. That's not something I picked up on, potentially.
Well, it was clear for everyone to see at the stadium. It really was, because, you know, a lot of people were shouting about it, and I've noticed it over the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's just a clear lack of movement from, you know, in attacking phases of play. It's just like all way too static and too stand stillish, if that's even a word. But look, we got back in the game. We were very lucky to get back in the game. And if you're looking at level of chances that both teams created, Bournemouth definitely deserved to win. But there was just something about me yesterday that I felt like we had that momentum in the second half. We were growing in the second half without creating too many clear-cut chances. And I actually said on the post-match that Spurs probably deserved a point out of it. I mean, I take that back for sure. I don't think we deserved a point out of it, but I think with the momentum, and I just always felt that Spurs were going to get back into it in a weird way. I don't know why.
Yeah, and I think we did create enough to score probably a goal. I'm not sure about 2, but definitely we were well worth a goal. Maybe that bit of luck from Sarr got us the point, because I think that obviously the penalty was well earned. I think by the way we earned it. I guess the main positive for me, not necessarily the performance overall. I think we've still got so much work to do. We're still very sloppy, giving away so many opportunities. But I guess the big positive is at 2-0, especially how the season's going, the crowd potentially turning on the players at that point. We heard loud boos at...
boys as well.
Yeah, we heard loud boos at halftime in the stadium. And the game goes 2-0, you're thinking, oh, God, this is going to turn toxic. And the main thing for me is the players didn't let their heads drop. They didn't give in. They didn't just roll over and succumb to a defeat. Like, to be fair, has happened, a few times this season where we've gone down and will not look like getting back in the game. And we did step up again, and we did. Ange first of all made some changes, and we did get back in the game, and deservedly, and played quite well at times to get back in the game. So I think that shows that the players aren't giving up and they're still trying to fight. But yeah, there's a lot of problems at the moment.
Yeah, I just feel like the clear lack of guile and chance creation is just kind of diminishing from this team. And like in the first part of the season, when when we both agreed we were playing a lot better than we are now, we'll be able to create chances at will. As much as maybe we left the back door a bit open, which obviously I think is a lot more prevalent than that, but we just can't seem to create consistent good quality chances.
Yeah, I think second half yesterday was
Even
a bit better.
Second half yesterday, we couldn't create consistent good quality chances. Like we scored two of our goals. One comes from a penalty, which potentially could have been a good chance. The other one comes from a freak cross from Pape Sarr, and the other good chance we created in the second half was the one from Maddison and Sarr. Apart from that, like, was there any clear-cut chances?
Well, I think it's more you're more talking about when we had shots, but we had, which is fair, and that's a fair thing to comment on, because you should be. That's most of the time when you're able to score is when you're able to have a shot on goal. But we definitely had openings where we should have created a shooting opportunity and we didn't, and that's kind of very, very frustrating for sure. But I would say second half it wasn't amazing, but it was better than RZ, where we didn't have a shot on target all game, and we did seem to create a bit more. But especially it definitely I would say improved once Maddison comes on and Son comes on, and they made a big difference.
Yeah, they did.
To how we played, especially Maddison. I felt and Bergvall, Maddison and Bergvall in the centre, just that ability to wriggle away from certain situations in the middle. They were a lot harder to deal with.
Well, Maddison created our best two chances of the game, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he was actually a really good impact he made, Maddison. So I was really happy with him. But for sure, when we had that midfield, it was terrible to watch.
It was hard to watch. It was really hard to watch. I mean, where does this leave you with the manager? Any changes of thoughts? Thursday is quickly approaching. Massive game. On the evidence of what you saw yesterday, does that give you any sort of confidence that we can go and overturn the 1-0 defeat?
A bit, but I'm still concerned. I'm still very concerned, to be honest. Just my main concern is, like, Romero and Van de Ven, I wish they would have come back like just a few weeks earlier, so they were just more integrated in the team, instead of they've only just got some game time and now they're going to have to be at their best on Thursday, essentially, to get us back in the game. But the way we played...
Do you persist with Romero and Danso then? Because Romero's got an hour in his
There was
legs.
rumours that Danso did a hamstring. I don't know if you heard of that. There was rumours about it.
Oh, God.
I don't know if you heard that.
No.
I don't know how true it is. I don't know if anyone in the comments...
I heard is Bentancur.
I don't know if anyone knows in the comments, but that's what I heard. But I don't know how much truth there is to it, because I think people said they saw him hobbling, and some people say he might have done a hamstring. I don't know. There are some people, no journalists. It's all just hearsay. Just hearsay. Yeah, but you never know. Hearsay with Tottenham has usually turned out to be correct this season. I think on Thursday, would I put Romero and Van de Ven in together? If they're fully fit, I might do, because I thought Danso wasn't amazing yesterday, to be honest. But he has been good when he's come in, so I don't know if I want to disrupt that either.
Van de Ven looked good when he came on as well, with
Van
his
de Ven
charges
looked
up
good,
down the left-hand side.
I kind of want them both in there, but then again, Romero wasn't great, so maybe you have Danso and Van de Ven potentially.
Yeah, but I'm not going to read too much into that Romero performance, because I think it was just a case of rustiness. And I think with that hour of football in his legs, I think he may be much better for it on Thursday night.
Anyway, my point being, I am a bit concerned just because these players like Van de Ven and Romero are still a bit rusty, that they're still not, like, they're still kind of learning a bit with their teammates. But I think we looked a lot better with Son, Maddison, Bergvall and Solanke in the team together. And Odegaard, to an extent, I thought he looked bright on occasion, but his final ball still needs a lot of work. But I thought there were some occasions where, like, unlike Brennan, where when he's not on the pitch, he's just anonymous. He was getting involved, doing little tricks, little flicks, like trying to get to the byline.
It was just all kind of bark and no bite with Odegaard.
Yeah, he's 19. He needs to work on his final ball. He's got a lot to learn in that aspect, I think.
I thought he started off well, and then he kind of went really quiet. And then when he moved over to the right-hand side, it kind of reinvigorated him. I'd like to see him maybe start on the right-hand side instead of Brennan on Thursday night.
I think seeing Maddison and Son and Bergvall and Solanke link up the way they did gave me confidence that we can score goals against this RZ team. But and should be enough to get through. But I am very concerned about how they were able to stop us from playing out the back on Thursday, and will they be able to do the same thing on this Thursday, and how much is that going to hurt us? I'm a bit concerned about that. Hopefully we'll come up with some solutions to what the problems they threw at us on Thursday. But the fact that we had so many problems yesterday, and it nearly cost us a goal or two, is what's really concerning me. And is that gonna, is it gonna cost us on Thursday? I'm a bit concerned about that, to be honest. Right now, I'm still confident that even if we do concede a goal, we might score 3, and so we should be okay. But I'm definitely a bit. I feel like, in a weird way, I feel like Thursday could be a bit of a struggle. But if we get through that, then actually I think the later rounds won't be as much of a struggle, potentially, in a weird way. Because
that is a very weird way.
I know. I know it sounds weird.
That sounds weird. Yeah.
I know it sounds weird. I'm not saying. My point isn't that if we win on Thursday, then we're going to breeze through the whole tournament. Our point being, if we can get through on Thursday, I think the later rounds we're going to actually be in a better position. Like, we're going to be, the teams, the players would have had a few more games in their legs. The players coming back, all the players come back from injury, they would have been fully, like, with these players that have been running on empty. Decky will be back, all these different things. I think in the later rounds we're going to look a lot better if we can get through this tie. But I can see Thursday actually being a struggle, to be honest.
I can see it being a struggle as well. I mean, when I saw Son and Maddison and Bergvall, come on in that second half, I was sitting there thinking, you know what, we can do this on Thursday. But the more and more I think about it, and the more kind of the way that RZ press and it showed against Bournemouth as well, I just have no confidence that we can not concede. And I don't have confidence that we can go and kind of score multiple goals, like 2 or 3 goals, to go and win the tie. So I am very concerned about Thursday. I can see it potentially Spurs winning 2-1 or something, and maybe it going to extra time and penalties.
Yeah, I am a bit concerned about us going out on penalties, although I would back Vicario, but I'm a bit concerned about that. I've got a feeling like we'll concede a stupid goal, we'll get it back to 2-1, but it won't be enough. And it goes to penalties, and maybe that's a lottery at that point. And at that point, you're probably saying, that first leg really cost us, because if we lose 2-1, and we lost the first leg 1-0, I just feel like if we can get through this tie, I think you'll see that in the later rounds, the performance level will be a lot better, in my opinion. But I think right now we're still in just this little iffy moment where we've still got players coming back from injury. It's still a bit disjointed. It hasn't quite clicked yet. But I think that will happen. It just needs a bit more time.
Well, if that's the case then, and if you still believe that to be true, then your opinion shouldn't be then if we lose to RZ, then we should sack Ange.
The reason why I think that they should is just because I think the fan base is never going to turn back. That I think it's too far gone. They've lost all belief, and I think as well.
No, I don't think that's true. If
we lose to RZ, I think
okay, fine. But if we lose to RZ, but football can change very quickly, and if we show a really good run of form towards the end of the season, the question marks will still be there beginning of next season with Ange if we do stick with him. But let's say we don't get too many injuries at the start of next season, and we play how you think we can play, and start winning consistent games and start winning a few early rounds of the cup and stuff, then a lot of people can be turned.
If we start winning games again, but I think is he going to be given that time? That's the thing. I think even if we lose to RZ, I don't think he should be sacked on the spot. I think he'll get till the end of the season, in my opinion.
Should be sacked on the spot.
I don't think he will be. I think he'll be get to the end of the season.
Never mind of what he will be, but I think he should be, because it's been a nothing short of disastrous season. If we lose one more game at home, we've broken a record in a 38 Premier League game season for most home losses, which is going to happen surely from now until the end of the season. You can see us losing probably one more. Minimum.
Don't know who we have. Who do we have at home?
I don't even think it's relevant. We've lost to Leicester and we've lost to Ipswich at home this season, so I think one more loss at home is probably going to come. So even that in itself is absolute disastrous. I think, did I read a stat right before saying that we've only won 5 home games this season?
Yeah.
5. That is nothing short of abysmal. Like, seriously, like, what more does this guy need to do to get sacked? I just don't understand it. Like, how he's still in a job.
Well, he's got Thursday.
What has he done to still be in a job right now? Like, seriously.
He's just been unfortunate of the circumstances. That's why they've kept him in a job. And I think that was I think that was probably the right thing to do. But he needs to show now that he can turn it around results wise, and performance wise as well, for sure. He has to start turning it around.
But in your opinion, he's only got 1 game to do that.
Well, he's got 1 game in terms of his long-term future here, for sure. I think so. Otherwise, I think the board would have lost patience, and I think the fans would have had enough. And I think 10 games, with the last 10 games of the season, you know, not having much on it, I can't see it not turning really toxic if we lose on Thursday. But if we win, then it's a bit different.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends. But even if we win, I just can't see us beating any of the other teams that we could face.
See, I think if we win on Thursday, again, on my point, I think we will. Think we'll be a bit better in the later rounds. I think that's my thinking.
I love your optimism, but I just can't see it, unfortunately. But yeah, that is our